Hello, my name is Ryan Garuch. I'm the middle school principal at Seven Hills Preparatory Academy. We wanted to make a quick video presentation for you for anybody that was unable to attend our middle school open house on January 30th. We put this together as kind of a way to give you a glimpse into what a middle school life is like and why you might want to choose our community for your child. Again, my name is Ryan. I've been here for 15 years and 19 years in education, and this is my second year as principal. I've really enjoyed my career in the middle school, and it feels like home to me. I also have an assistant principal, Miss Martine Walker, who's been with Seven Hills for a number of years too, and she started as a kindergarten teacher, but has worked into administration and is now K-8 assistant principal at Richfield. And finally, Mr. Tu Tao is our enrollment coordinator at the Richfield campus for middle school. He's been here for over 15 years. I think it's close to 19 years, 18, 19 years for Mr. Tu Tao, and he has all the answers for any enrollment questions that you might have. So, why would you pick Seven Hills for middle school? We know you have a lot of different choices out there, and we're a good school, but there's a lot of good schools out there. So, what makes us unique? And I think it comes down to these three things. We're a classical school. That's part of our charter. That's why we exist. That's kind of how we do things and why we do things, both skills and content. And I'm going to get into a couple of slides about that. We have high academic rigor. We really challenge our students. We believe in pushing them academically because we know that they'll meet us where we push them. And then finally, we do these two things with an equitable approach. And what does that mean? Well, equity means a lot to a lot of different people. For us, it's what does the individual child need to be successful? It also means that in our curriculum, we try to bring more perspectives to the tables for our students to analyze and kind of mull over before they form their opinions and communicate that out to others. So, if you had to say what was Seven Hills like in 30 seconds or less, this is a pretty good summary of it. Classical education at SHPA is centered around a rich liberal arts education that provides students with the knowledge and skills needed to collect and analyze information, think critically and empathetically, and participate in robust debate. Now, we also put great value on reading and writing because we think that it's the and language as a whole because we think that that's the center of all learning. If you can communicate well and you can absorb information and communicate that out, that is a key to success in all areas. The seven pillars of classical education, I won't go through these individually, but you can pause and read if you'd like. We put these together because we wanted some concrete examples of what makes our community a little bit different. Now, these are the things that we value, but it's not all of what we are, but it kind of tells about the curriculum and the education a student would get if they went here. The biggest highlight is that we really try to focus on the individual. We want to prepare each one of our students. We know that we have a great community and that we adapt it to the needs of the students and the families to prepare them for high school and really for beyond, because we know that these 3 years, sixth, seventh, and eighth, are very complicated times for a student, and it is more than just academics that we have to focus on. We talk about this balance here at Seven Hills, and we know that as important it is for our students to succeed academically, there's a lot of social emotional development that occurs in these years, right? There's a lot of physical changes that go through a student during the middle school years, but there's also a lot of dynamic shifts within their social groups. And so how do they navigate that, and how they focus on their mental health, and they focus on, okay, this is a difficult time, how do I get through it with my friend group, or how do I make new friends? That's all as equally important as individualized academic growth. We know that we have to build both of those up if we're going to have really strong scholars and students that are going to succeed at the next level. So what does that mean? Well, lots of times parents will say, well, my son or my daughter, they're having an issue with this other child. We might be looking for a new place to go because we've been with Seven Hills for a number of years. We've been satisfied, but we might want them to get a new mix. And that's fine. That's a great, I understand that completely. And for many families, that's the right thing to do. But one thing I'd like you to consider is that we really mix two campuses here, Burnsville and Richfield, both Seven Hills campuses. We get mixed into middle school, and in that mixing, a lot of new friendships develop. And so it's not it's not always the case that I might branch out and make new friends, but it's often the case, right? And those friendships or those relationships that are kind of causing friction in fifth grade sometimes disappear because after 42 minutes, I get another class period and I get another group of friends, right? Another group of people to be with. And I'm not on top of the same kids all day, every day, right? We get a couple, some breaks from them. And so consider that when you're deciding on where to go for middle school. It is a new year, it's new experiences. We'll get into the enrollment in a little bit here, but we really think that movement, that change between classes is an important thing to consider. So what are those classes? The classes are set for us at our community. We don't have what would other schools would call electives. We have different trimester courses that every child needs to take. And so our core classes are math, science, language arts, and social studies. All students will get those all 3 trimesters. In sixth grade, trimester 1, we have grammar, Latin, and physical education. In trimester 2, we have trivium, which is a class based on rhetoric, debate. Um, they study in sixth grade, they'll study fallacies. They'll also study the progymnasmata. So it's a lot of classical ed. Language Connections is another class that we've added to our curriculum because we want more reading and more language in our curriculum than a 42-minute language arts course may allow. And then finally, they get physical education again in trimester 2. And in middle school, unlike elementary school at Seven Hills, physical education is every day of the week. Finally, in trimester 3, they have those 4 core classes again, in addition to music and art. And then finally, that third trimester, instead of physical education, they have a health curriculum that they go through. Another big question is, what are the sports that you offer? What are the activities you offer? And what if my kid is playing a sport outside of Seven Hills? Can we accommodate that? Yes, we can. And so at Seven Hills, we have a pretty robust athletics department. It keeps growing every year. We have large teams, so we have to add more teams to these sports. And in the fall, we have soccer. In the winter, we have basketball. And in the spring, we have volleyball. All of these are co-ed. It's open to all students, grades 5 through 8, and it's a real hoot. And we have a lot of fun, but it's also a learning league that we're in, and so it's more about developing our skills and trying something new. Lots of kids, it's the first time they've played these sports by the time they're playing there. And then on the other end of the extreme, we've got kids that are in traveling clubs that are also playing in this because their friends are there, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, we also have a whole bunch of activities that students can be involved in: art, yearbook, writing and reading club, language clubs, and we've added Dungeons and Dragons. We also have a homework club, which kids can get individualized attention after school, or before school, a couple days a week, and we staff that with teachers that can really help skyrocket a kid's performance in their homework. If we're struggling with it at home, we know that sometimes you need a different adult than mom and dad to tell you to do something. They can say the exact same thing, and then all of a sudden we're skyrocketing, right? So we've got theater club as well. We've got some other clubs that start two that we're really looking forward to add. We have things like band and choir that exist within the school day, so they don't even have to stay after or come early. And that's really kind of a neat addition that we have in middle school that's different than maybe the elementary school. We also have these partnerships with a community high schools that many students take advantage of. So we'll sign what's called a continuation agreement with an area high school for a student to play sport there. It's just an agreement between our school and their school that we're going to send kids to play soccer at Kennedy or basketball at Richfield. Depending on what the coach wants to set up, we're willing to sign those contracts and get those kids out there because we think it's a great opportunity. When we do that, we often have to change the students' schedule so that their last period is PE, so that they can go take PE in a different form with these sports clubs. Okay. And so we make that accommodation. We'll also make that accommodation if it's a club sport, but there are some agreements that we have to put into place about maintaining maybe an activity journal, or if they're in health, they have to keep up with the workbook, that type of thing. So don't rule us out just because you're like, oh, you don't have this sport. My son really wants to play this, or my daughter really is into swimming. You don't have a swimming club. Let's talk about it before you make that determines your choice here, because we're pretty flexible with this. Another one that's big, bus transportations. It is always on the top of people's list. It's difficult to get students to school because we're busy people, aren't we? And so at a charter school, we're different than a traditional public school. We bus further than what would be called our resident district. Our resident district is Richfield. And so anyone inside Richfield does not have to pay for bus transportation if they're outside of that 2-mile border, where within 2 miles you're considered a walker, and outside you can apply for transportation for free. And if you're outside of the district, so if you're in Bloomington, Burnsville, Lakeville, or parts of Minneapolis, you can apply to get our bus transportation from there. Depending on where you live in those cities, those bus stops are going to look a little bit different. Some are called hub stops, where we'll have a parking lot at like a YMCA, and we'll pick all the students up from there, and we'll go to a different one, and we'll fill up the bus, and then we'll come to school. Some are more traditional, where they're a block or two from your house. Finally, the bus fees range from $0 to $600 based on the number of students you have, or number of children you have in your family that are taking the buses, and family income. So if you have questions about that, please reach out to us. The bus sign up for next year will go out in mid-May. We have a resource called the Family Hub, and it's really just information specific to the middle school here at Seven Hills. We know that sometimes you go to our website and there's just too much stuff. And so we made kind of a sub website just for the middle school. Take a chance to look at that and look at some of our performance on MCAs and some of the things that we do for Student of the Month, and maybe our big capstone field trip to Washington, D.C. every year. It's a lot of information on there, but if you have any questions, please don't feel free to reach out. Do feel free to reach out to me. And finally, our enrollment, what's it look like now? Well, our goal for the first day of school is 120 students in sixth grade. If you look at what we have enrolled in our 2 feeder schools, at Burnsville, we have about 76 fifth graders, and at Richfield, we have about 50. Now, we currently, or traditionally, typically, we'll have about 10 to 15% of our students leave our community between 5th and 6th grade. And so there will be some openings for families outside of Seven Hills to join us. But we like to get that number solidified as soon as possible, because we know the earlier we can get students settled into our community, the better. And so if you're trying to make that decision, are you coming or not, when you finally do, just let us know so that we can be proactive about filling those spots and getting this great education to as many kids as we can in the least amount of stress and worry for those families. So lots of information in a relatively short period of time. Appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, please reach out to me via email or phone call. And we hope that you make Seven Hills Middle School your choice for 6th grade. And if not, we wish you luck on your new adventures. Take care.